Trade pros, what's going on today, everybody? This is Mark checking in here from headquarters in Toronto, Ontario. A couple minutes late, but better late than never. Coming to give you guys your midday entertainment here as far as it's concerning the industry, the trading industry. So welcome, guys. Welcome one, welcome all, whoever's on here. If you guys are new or returning viewers, please make sure to type in the chat, say hello. It's always nice to know I am speaking to somebody because I can't really see anything on there. Good morning, William. Good afternoon, brother. Happy to see you in there. I know you were doing pretty nice in the room. I came back. Fortunately, I got one more trade. I picked up that long for that little press into those 68s, got me back on the right side. But the room did okay today. A bunch of people did well. Hello, George. Hello, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. So came in a bit later today, but we're doing a little bit of work with our members here. So let's take a look at what happened. During the U.S. session, we had a couple of news releases, not news releases, but we had a couple of I'm losing my words. It must be Friday. A couple of economic releases on the docket. Hey, Marjorie, Tessa, hello, ladies. Our La Femmes coming out and supporting. Happy to see you guys. Appreciate you guys. On today's session, we had flash manufacturing and flash services PMI numbers come in around 9:45 a.m. We also had at 10 a.m. the existing home sales. FOMC member Brainerd speaking at the moment, 12 p.m. And we also have bank stress test results, which shows tentative. So not too sure if that's going to come out tonight or not. But I'm not really expecting too much for the remainder of the session. Today is quad expiry, or not quad expiry, it's quad witch day, which is often a day that, many traders kind of stay away from just because, options expire, or not options expiry, quad witch days are generally days where you get max pain in the markets, meaning these kinds of days when the options expire, especially on a quad witch, it's going to cause as much pain to as many people as possible. And I think our member Eric mentioned today that the max pain for the SPY, the SPY, which is the ETF that follows the cash index, the max pain was at $296. And so if you kind of reflect that on the spoosh, on these minis, that would be around the 2960s. So, that's kind of where the max pain theory was. And that was kind of interesting to see. So let's cover some of the news events that we saw going on. We had, obviously, the existing home sales came in 5.34 million versus 5.3 million expected. Bit of a beat on that front. We had the June market preliminary PMI manufacturing came in at 50.1 versus 50.5 expected, which was our lowest reading on that number since September 2009. Fed's Bullard, speaking, mentioned he releases a statement outlining dissent from Wednesday's FOMC meeting that rate cut option was most appropriate for me at recent meeting. So kind of playing to that. Philadelphia Energy Solutions Refinery, which has about 335,000 barrel per day output, is on fire following explosion. And this is what Stephen was mentioning in the room. And we've also got those tensions with U.S., Iran, and a squawk related to that point here showing U.S. President Trump confirms he did order a strike against Iran targets, but stopped it, quote, 10 minutes before the strike because it was not proportionate. Says he is in no hurry. Iran sanctions are biting. So that's a little bit on that front. I think what Stephen mentioned in the room on the sign-off was great. Great advice, something good to focus on today, with the sense that, if you're looking to short the crude market today, just be careful, because any squawks coming out with regards to those Iran-US tensions, anything showing further escalations, it's a supply and demand market. That's what crude oil is. And when you've got the potential for a war, I don't want to say the big W word I just did, but when you have potential for that, Iran is one of the bigger oil suppliers, and if you get that thing, if that becomes removed, if that supply gets removed from the market, you're obviously going to have an increase in demand. It's simple economics 101. And so what he mentioned was, if you're going to be looking to short this market, be very quick to be on that flatten button, or have your finger over the flatten button, just because any squawks with regards to that situation can pump this thing up higher. So that's all that we've kind of got as far as the news. Not much else on the docket. We just have those, like I mentioned, Brainerd speaking at the moment, and a tentative bank stress test results, which are shown as low impact events. So not really seeing too much of a impact on the markets. However, as we come into the close, I do expect some volatility, but I expect it to be almost nonsensical volatility. Personally, I'm going to be staying out of it. I would suggest you guys do the same. What we tend to see on what we tend to see on quad witch kind of days, especially in the equities futures, is a lot of range bound, and we see a lot of breakouts that end up becoming fake outs and trading back into the range. And that's kind of what we're seeing on the SPOOs right now, to be honest. We did get a breakout above the previous day high. Now we're back within the range, looking to press back towards those lows. So very, very fitting for a quad witch kind of a day. And yeah, exactly, William. Take profit early and fast. And that's kind of been the day so far. And that's how I'm going to sign that off. I'm not really looking for anything else. I'll kind of cover what we've seen. But both of our markets are essentially looking pretty choppy, pretty consolidating today. Let me switch over to the screens here, let you guys see what I'm seeing. So there is the quote board. Quote board showing crude oil 547,000 contracts, up 0.77% on the day. Your previous day close came in at those 57.12s, and our last traded price here was 57.51. So marginally up from the previous day's close. Again, pretty big volume. And, crude at the moment is kind of headline driven with these Iran-US tensions. And that's kind of what you can't really determine too much from this quote board right now, other than we've got pretty good volume and not much movement, which is kind of what you'd expect for quad witch day. Crude itself doesn't get affected by quad witch as much, but you are seeing, this week in itself, we did have some pretty wild swings. And so, excuse me, on swings like that, you usually get some consolidation into the weekend. And I think that's what we're seeing here in this market. So that's what we got on the quote board for crude. As far as the spoosh are concerned, okay volume. We've been seeing around 1.2 to 1.4 million around this time of day. We're at 1, which is not bad. Morning part of the session was super boring, it was just like watching paint dry. And it was a little bit tough to qualify trades out of it. I mean, there was a couple of times we looked to find something off of support and didn't really quite get back there. I tried to sell the top of the range twice. Actually, no, once. I got stopped out on that. Tried longing, not in my zone, but I tried a long in there as well. Got stopped out, and then I made it all back and then some on this guy right there. Caught the low, almost the low for that little press up higher. Obviously not all the way up. I took it right back into the market structure, but could have held it there. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Doesn't matter. I got money in the bank and I'm going into the weekend with that. So that's what you should be focusing on as well. That's our quote board. Let's take a look at the pivots. Pivot charts, pretty neutral, to be quite honest. I mean, crude came in from a bullish market structure, so you will have a bullish bias. So what I would be looking for is supports to hold, resistance not to hold. And so we're seeing resistance currently right around this zone. That's around the 57.70s as I look up on my range chart, right around that zone here. Seeing some resistance, your supports coming in around these 57, or actually that was 56. Probably somewhere around here, your 56.80s or 57s. and that's on your 1 hour time frame. So on that, you're just seeing consolidation. Really, in these kinds of situations, you got consolidation after a big run up. Your best bet is really to get long on rotations back down into that support. Just kind of play the range. If you get long into the rotation near the bottom end of support, if it comes back up to the top, you can get paid on half of your position, hold another half, see if it can run out. If not, stops above break even. That way you get paid, you let the rest ride, see what happens from there. SPOOs, we're seeing kind of something similar. We were mentioning this yesterday that we are coming in from a pretty nice bullish market structure overall. And, the market's kind of been breaking out, ripping. And I mentioned that level is a good level for a retest earlier this week. That's what we saw, consolidation right back into our zone, breakout, rotates back into the zone, continues higher. Now we're back at the top here. Been holding that pivot and that previous days, what was that? 1, 2, 3, R3 on the previous day. And we've currently tried a press above the range highs on the session into new all-time highs, and we have rotated off from there. So again, similar story as with crude, because this thing is bullish, coming in from an overall bullish market structure on the hourly range bars. You guys can see, if I get rid of these, if I hide these suckers, I mean, I don't know if anything about this chart screams bear to you, but this is essentially as bull as it gets. And so that's what we'll be looking for. We've currently tested those highs. We'll look for a rotation back down to support structure. You can see kind of held here. So we'll see if they come down to these 2940s. That kind of lines up with the overnight low. And at the moment, I am seeing some bids hanging around at those 42s, which is quite a ways away from current price. But, we have traded the top of that range. Now we're coming in. And due to the fact that it is options expiry, I really would not be surprised to see us trade back down to the bottom of the range and then kind of close on there for the week. So that's what we've got on the pivot charts. As far as actual levels on crude, you have kind of got these ones right here. You can see this is first level of interest, kind of right where we're at the 5750s. Range between that and the 70s, and then the support structure into your 30s, and below that, your previous day close 5710s. So you can kind of play this one or two ways. If you're going to continue on into this session, obviously your overall structure is still, kind of still in a bullish form. This could be a potential lower high in the context of that. In order for that to get confirmed, we would need to see a breakdown below that previous day close. If we get a breakdown before here, this market structure is going to be shifting back to the bear side for me. And, you could look to sell rotations back up into it. However, at the moment, we did come back into that zone after pressing up. We did hold that low. You can also potentially see this as a higher low. What would need to break for that to kind of be confirmed? Well, you've already kind of seen a break of structure here. We've rotated up, come down, held another previous higher low, but we failed to get back above there. So really, we've got to get back above this level here in order for the bulls to come back in, press this thing back up to the overnight highs. As long as it stays below these levels, I think sellers are going to be in control until we get into one of those supports, at which point you can look to flip and get back up to the long side. That's what we got on crude. S&P 500, man, oh man, what a dump. What a rip and dump. I mean, this is classic SPOOs. Here it is. I was mentioning this in the room. I wouldn't be surprised to see the SPOOs make a run to that previous day high and then just fall off from there, as this is kind of what OPEX or Quad Witch is all about, just screwing over as many people as is possible. And so right now we are back within the opening range. We are seeing some buying coming in off of the open. We had a little bit of a dump off the open, rotation up. Now we've kind of pulled back. Now I'm kind of interested to see in this level what's going to happen here. Do we start to form out some support consolidation and then press this thing back up for those all-time highs, or do we come back into this zone, kind of fail here, and then break that structure and give us, give the sellers a little bit of control in this market to look to press these support structures. That's ultimately what we'll be watching for in a pretty key level right now. If this thing gives way, your next level right down below, you've seen it kind of hold several times around these 50s. And up top, if it fails, if it rotates up in here and fails, I mean, you can see we've had nice sell-off from there, nice sell-off from there. This is a pretty big deviation up outside of the range, but if it comes back in and starts failing here, you can look to press it back down into that support and then back down lower. So that's all that we got for today, guys. It's been a great week in the room. I personally had a pretty good week. Battled my way back from, 2 losers today, back to green. So closing this week out green. And what we're going to finish off with are the Trade Pro Performance Index numbers. And today, a little bit of a slump in the numbers. 56% of the room was green on live accounts. 31.25% were green. 25 were flat. 43.3 quarters were down on the session. Still not a bad result considering the fact that it is options expiry today. And, to that point, our head day trader, George, does not often trade OPEX. He usually takes a day off, and that's kind of an indication of what you might be able to expect on these kinds of days. So happy to see that the team is overall positive. I mean, I would have loved to see 78, 80% green on this kind of a day, but fact of the matter, or the reality of the fact is that options expiry days, the quad witch days are extremely difficult to trade. And a lot of professional traders do take this day off because the price action is very difficult to read. And as mentioned earlier, it's kind of nonsensical in the way that it moves. On top of that, you've got, you've got Iran-US trade tension, or not trade tensions. You've got war tensions between those two. And you still got the US-China trade war disputes, albeit they are looking a little bit more optimistic now. There's still a lot of, a lot of fuel. All you need is a spark, and things can go pretty quick. So I'm losing my train of thought here, guys. I'm likely going to be signing off after this, and that's going to be a wrap for the day and for the week. So let me switch back to the camera and give you guys a lovely send off for the week. So there we go. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you for commenting in the chat. Thank you for saying hello. If you guys are enjoying these, make sure to subscribe, make sure to comment, make sure to like, and make sure to share it with your friends, anybody that that's looking to get into the day trading arena. Anyone's looking to get into trading overall. I think our group is absolutely awesome. I mean, it's obviously a biased opinion because I'm part of it, but I've seen the progress of our members, and I've seen how our new members kind of acclimate to the community and add value within that community, and it's just just a compound effect. And it's really an awesome place to be. I'm seeing a lot of progress in our community on a daily basis, whether it's in the Discord room or through emails that I get personally that come in through the team. Really, really encouraging to see. And that just makes us want to continue to work as hard as we do to get you guys where you want to be with your goals. So that's going to be the sign off. That's going to be me for today. You guys take care. Have a great weekend. If you will be trading into the latter end of the session, which I don't recommend, but if you will, follow those 3 rules: discipline, patience, diligence. Sign off, guys. Take care.